First, there's little more than a week to go until classes are supposed to be back in session here in BC. But at this point, it's anyone's guess if that is actually going to happen. And as the final hours of summer holidays tick by, the BC Teachers Union has now issued a challenge to the provincial government. For more on that, Greg Harper joins us live with the details. Greg.
Good morning, Kyle. Will the school year start on time? This remains the big question, and here we are. Tomorrow, it will be a week until the public school year is supposed to start. Speaking at a teachers conference in Kamloops yesterday in front of hundreds of teachers, the president of the BCTF, Jim Eicher, has made a challenge, put out a challenge to the government, our education minister, challenging Peter Fassbender to begin mediation with teachers in order to end the labor dispute. Eicher says picket lines will be going up throughout this week. Earlier this month, we learned that mediator Vince Reddy became involved in exploratory talks with the two sides, but will only begin mediation if the two parties come closer together on wages and on class size and composition. This has not happened.
We're ready to negotiate anytime. We've been ready all summer. We've been ready all this past week despite being here in Kamloops. My message to the minister today and his rhetoric of 24/7 bargaining is let's see it. How about tomorrow? Let's get this deal done.
So again, picket lines are expected to go up throughout this week. And remember, this is the day that the BC Confederation of Parent Advisory Council said a deal needs to get done today in order for the school year to start on time. Kyle?
Greg Harper live for us this morning once again over at BCTF headquarters in Vancouver. Now, parents are having to think about making alternate plans for their children next week if this teacher strike drags on. Many day camps are being made available to help keep kids occupied. This martial arts school in Vancouver is offering extra classes starting next week, but many parents are hoping it just won't come to that.
Plan A is she'll just go to school as usual. So then there are various Plan Bs for strike camps that we've signed her up for and overlapping babysitters, and we'll figure something out.
Other so-called strike camps being offered by agencies, including the YMCA, are already fully booked. Well, a convicted murderer has escaped from a federal prison in Mission. Norman Gilbert Reel was last seen getting into a white Chevrolet Suburban SUV that was apparently waiting for him when he left the Mission institution on Sunday. Mission RCMP say his absence was noted during a prisoner count. The 41-year-old has a long criminal history. He's currently serving time for the 1994 killing of Patrick Pugh, a marijuana dealer who was shot dead after 4 masked men with guns broke into his East Vancouver penthouse. Well, if you're traveling through Vancouver International Airport this week, brace yourself for things to be a lot busier than normal. YVR is experiencing one of its busiest travel seasons on record, and this week is no exception. Roughly 70,000 people are expected to pass through the terminal by Thursday night. The surge in passenger volume is being credited with tourists, cruise ship passengers, and even students pushing up the numbers. Anyone traveling through YVR this week is encouraged to arrive at least 90 minutes before domestic departure and at least 2 hours before international and U.S. flights. The airport expects to see a record 18 million people fly in and out by the end of the year. An American burger giant is looking to get its hands on Tim Hortons for the second time in less than 20 years. Burger King is involved in talks to buy Canada's most popular coffee and donut chain, but it wouldn't mean that you'll be able to order a Whopper alongside your Double-Double. The two brands would continue to operate separately. In 1995, Tim Hortons was acquired by Wendy's. Exhausted BC firefighters are finally getting a bit of a break as help arrives from Ontario. 60 firefighters and 30 support workers are now in the province, so local crews who have been on the job for 2 straight weeks can finally catch their breath. There are 165 fires burning across BC right now. Cooler temperatures have helped lower fire danger ratings, but campfire bans are still in place in several areas. Aftershocks are still being recorded in Northern California following a weekend earthquake just outside the San Francisco area. Around 170 people were injured in the magnitude 6.0 quake in the Napa Valley area yesterday morning. Around 7,000 homes and businesses have no power as gas and water mains were ruptured and large cracks appeared in a number of roads. Experts in BC are hoping it will remind us that a similar, more powerful earthquake could happen here.
The lesson here is, yes, so we have to be aware that is not only the big one that we should be worried about, it's other type of earthquakes that could be of lesser magnitude, but closer to us in the lower mainland or closer to Victoria or all the urban areas, and those could potentially be very destructive.
Experts recommend keeping an emergency survival kit with 3 days' supply of food and water to be best prepared for an earthquake. Dozens of people in Surrey are homeless after a huge fire in their apartment building over the weekend. Flames broke out early Sunday morning on Hilton Road near King George Boulevard, and at its peak, the fire could be seen from 2 blocks away. It's still not known what caused the fire, but investigators say the building is no longer structurally sound, meaning it could be a while before the 50 residents are allowed back home. The City of Vancouver is being taken to court this week over plans to build a 36-story development. The Community Association of New Yaletown wants a judge to overturn a rezoning and land swap deal over the site at Emery Baines Park. They say the deal was cloaked in secrecy, with the details only being revealed after a Freedom of Information request. The city argues the land contract was voted on and approved by a majority of City Council in October of 2012, with the details made available to the public in a report that was released in June of 2013.